New World has been through a lot over the last few years, including a complete revamp to their MSQ, the introduction of brand new skills and abilities, and of course, the introduction of new PvE raids, including 10-man and 20-man raids. However, one of the newest additions to New World is, of course, seasonal worlds. The first seasonal world being the PvP only server, allowing people to constantly be PvP flagged. But the real question is, what are the future seasonal worlds? Because the overall impact could make or break New World Aeternum as we know it. So let's go ahead and jump in and actually talk about that. Let's start with the first seasonal world, which was the season of Conquerors. Essentially, this seasonal world had an always on PvP flag for every single character above level 15. So, tons and tons of PvP happened. We saw certain parts of the main story quest just being farmed, and it was just kind of interesting because the fastest way to level up your character was basically cutting down trees or gathering stone. So I do think that's going to change in future seasonal worlds, but I did think it was interesting. Based on our experience in the first seasonal world, we can clearly tell that it is a large twist to the game that we're familiar with. So, with that logic, I kind of came to a handful of guesses on what future seasonal worlds might be in regards to their theme for future seasons of New World Aeternum. Now, my very first thought, which I believe a handful of people in the community actually thought the same thing, was a hardcore server. The very first seasonal world, of course, very focused on PvP. This hardcore seasonal world can flip it and be a little bit more focused on PvE. For those of you that are unfamiliar with hardcore modes of certain games, essentially you have one life. Picture going through the entire MSQ of New World Aeternum without dying once. So, again, there's a handful of different ways that they can approach this. I'm not sure how they would handle it with PvP flagging or if they will actually allow it. But regardless, it could be a fun, interesting twist, especially with like certain leaderboards and very, very cool skins and titles that could bring in a handful of PvE lovers in there and also challenge some PvP friends out there too that are extra good with their shift key, I'd say. But again, it could be a interesting seasonal world. I would not be surprised if we see this coming up down the road. Friendly reminder, if you like these type of videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I've got a lot more headed your way. Now, this next seasonal world idea could be a bit of a stretch, but I do think it could be pretty interesting and answer that question of who truly is the best bruiser or who's the best mage or ranger. And that's because I think there's a chance that they really play off of archetypes with a future seasonal world. Consider the opportunity of having a server of destroyers or a server of rangers, where essentially the only weapons that drop on the entire server are bows and rapiers. Or if you're a destroyer, you only can get your hands on great axes and warhammers. Imagine territory 50 versus 50 wars against every single player in the same type of archetype. It would be very, very interesting, but I just don't think we have the population for it. But I do think it would be pretty interesting. You know, like maybe a server only with ranged or only melee weapons or things like that. It could be a nice, fun twist, but hey, only time will tell. One of the other things that they really could jump on is playing off of those different mob types. An entire expansion was focused around Angry Earth, and maybe they can introduce something where us as individuals can join a specific mob type, such as Corrupted or Angry Earth, or maybe they change it up and actually change the MSQ in an entire seasonal world and just mess with the lore. Like, hey, instead of the Angry Earth taking over a entire area of the map, it was the Corrupted or something along those lines. There are a handful of opportunities in which they can really just capitalize and jump on those different mob types. and add a little bit of a twist. Or even adding some sort of race system to the game, that would be a lot trickier, but it would add a little bit more complexity and more just overall personalization when you do create your characters. I do think that would be a bit of a missed opportunity, but again, it could be kind of cool just to mix things up and really kind of play off of those different mob types that exist in the game today. These are just some of the many, many different ideas that can turn into a seasonal world down the road. However, I think we can all agree something has to change. Seasonal worlds was kind of a fun idea, but let's face it, it doesn't seem like it really helped New World Aeternum that much. The overall servers are dwindling. Seasonal worlds are just taking away from pre existing servers many times and just cutting up the overall populations quite a bit. Servers are starting to merge together, and honestly, the game needs a big change. That's why I'm asking all of you guys. If you guys have any fun ideas that you think could be really exciting for a seasonal world, go ahead and comment below because I definitely want to hear them. And who knows, maybe some developer from the game will stumble across this video, see some of these most liked comments, and it might actually turn into something. Again, I love this game. I know many of you guys watching this video feel the same way. So let's go ahead and just put our heads together and potentially change this game for the better. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe if you love New World just like me and you want to hear some more updates about where the game's headed. Thanks again, and I will catch you guys later.